everyone, and welcome back. You know what today is. It's Golari Day. Today we are going to be trying one of my favorite kind of color combinations that's a little bit awkward. Obviously, as you can tell by first glance, it's a little bit more of a mono black deck here. Flashing some green cards to add some versatility and card draw where we need, where mono black kind of suffers. For example, I don't know if there is one, if it's not super bad. If it's a really bad card, not going to play it. But black has an awful time trying to deal with enchantments and artifacts, so we kind of use green to fill that gap in this deck and use it as a really good kind of combo with some of the other stuff in our deck. And I'm using Insidious Fungus. I'm not sure if this card's good. I wanted to try it today. Oftentimes we could play this on one, sacrifice it, and use it as mana ramp. This is a resemblance of Steve, our Secure Tribe Scout, I believe. There's Secure Tribe Scout and there's Secure Tribe Elder. I don't remember which one it is. Either one. We call it Steve regardless. We could sack it. We can use this as a block on a big creature that doesn't have trample, and then sacrifice and get value, especially if it's not going to trade off that creature. Also, if that creature is an artifact, we can destroy it with this, which is interesting, or enchantments, so that's very nice. And then we use a card like Glissa, a very good field general when it comes to monitoring the board. If our opponent's creatures don't have first strike, Glissa is going to dominate in every space that it can, removing counters as well. And then also you can take the stun counters off of Unstoppable Slasher. So if we go to combat and our opponent removes the slasher, if they don't let this first strike damage happen first, which oftentimes the way arena zoomers are, they won't let that happen. So Unstoppable Slasher will die, will come back in, have the stun counters, and Glissa can remove those 3 counters off. It'll be 2, but it can remove up to 3. So we can take those off, untapping the slasher and getting kind of instant value back off that and be able to get in. And outside of that, speaking of Unstoppable Slasher, that's the main combo of today, using Unstoppable Slasher with Bloodletter of Aclazotz to kind of have a 1-2 punch. If Unstoppable Slasher comes in on 3 and there's no creatures in the way, or we've removed them early and our opponent's not really got anything, we can play a Bloodletter on 4 and then hit them with Unstoppable Slasher, and this will make them lose half their life, so it'll hit them for 2. Say they're at 20, they'll go to 18, and then they'll lose 9, and then this will get doubled up by Bloodletter because they lost 9 life. I guess they'll take more because Bloodletter will do whatever. They'll go to 16, they'll lose 8, and then they'll lose an additional 8 off the Bloodletter, because it says if an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. So the combat damage will happen. That'll get doubled with the Bloodletter or the Slasher, and then it'll deal 4. And then it'll make them lose half their life from 16 being 8, and then it'll get doubled by Bloodletter for a total of 16 there. And a 1-shot from 20, a 1-shot from infinite life. It doesn't actually matter with Unstoppable Slasher and Bloodletter. Other than that, we are heavy on removal as the meta currently calls. And this is our package overall, plus a little Liliana here. You do have to be a little bit careful. I understand where you might be confused why there's one of this. Might play more of these, unsure. There's a Boros Auras deck going around that we need this in. We need Anoint with Affliction for obviously aggro because of exiles. Don't want to play too many because we are a bit slower of a deck sometimes, as we sit in that like really stalled mid-range pile. And sometimes we have to play Virtue to win. Who really knows? But with that said, we don't want to play too many of these, because if we do play against a bigger deck, we're going to struggle, as this cannot remove like a Traxer or whatnot. So we have to kind of settle for go for the throats in that spot, along with 3 cut downs. So with that said, we're going to hop into the games. Hope you all enjoy. And with that, if you all enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel a ton, and I appreciate it. Sure. I think no one is surprised. I mean, we have to remove it. There's no discussion here. Has to be removed. Oh, slick shot. Tough looks for us. Maybe they'll play around our cut down. Okay. Thick. More tap lands. I promise I play on tap sources outside of this one swamp. You know, I'm just in here just having a good time. We'll just target whatever one they pump. If they pump none of them here during combat, then we let the 2 damage happen. We definitely take Monster Trace doesn't save it. I'm gonna opt to go for this. It might be able to make another 2/2, which is like whatever comparatively. Sure. Double pump into the one is dying. Yep. I agree with that decision. Definitely wouldn't want to do more damage. Oh man. Sick games. I just wipe out their board. I feel like I think that's a good plan. And then I can also play the fungus. Yeah, 2 mana in their hand. And they really prioritize making another creature, so I'm just gonna do that. You just pop their whole board and I'll play a Roots here. And another Slick Shot underneath there. Sick. No wonder why they instantly chose 3 Slick Shots. And another land. Exactly what we're wanting. Now this little dude's getting in there. That's 2 damage. What a thug. Look at this guy. He's just all over the wall. Another land. Sure. Let's move to combat. I could bring up the cottage and do a ton of damage, I guess. Is probably what I should have done. Yeah, realistically, it's what I should have done. Dude, enough with the lands. Please. I might even sack one of these and just draw a card. Maybe hit that land. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lethal? Sure. Oh my god, Arena was going to make me lose this game. What? What? I drew like a land every turn. For the most part. I go first. Sure, we can keep this. This is one of the weird games. Never mind. Here's the Leyline of the Void. Honestly, that can go in exile. Interesting opponent here. Life gain. Okay, they are just hate the meta gamers, and that's what I'm about. This does counter my Mosswood Dreadknight, though. Did I cut down this? Nah, I wait to see what they play after. Okay, thing I can hardly interact with. Sure. Line of the Void does not affect yourself, only affects your opponent. As you can see, currently with what's in play. Liliana is good, but I think I want to let them commit a little bit more. Maybe even remove some stuff. I'll play a Preacher. I'll play a Bloodletter, hopefully. They're not huge on removal. Okay, they have 2 options now. My voice. They have 2 options now. It's either the go for the third or the Liliana, and I would take the Liliana in my opinion. Liliana, more mana efficient here. And I get set up with a Planeswalker post this turn. So like plussing on the walker is good. I get my go for the third back. I attack. Hit 19. Not a way to really make them lose life here unless they activate their own connection, which they don't. This one. Now they could have go for the throat. Let's see what happens when I get to combat here. What do you have? Okay. All of our removal's good. We're gonna scry here. We just have a straight up removal spell for that. 1 top, 1 bottom. Most likely go for the throat for Bloodletter if I had to guess. Mosswood's weird because it doesn't have near as good a value as you think it would with this Leyline in play. Anoint's really good against this deck if it's what I think it is. So doesn't go for the throw. So honestly here, Mosswood's got to go, I think. Yeah, there's Zoraline. I think their highest cost is maybe a Shieldred. Maybe it was a land on top. No, it had to be a land on top, right? That's the only thing that would make sense. Sure. Like, interestingly enough, play this land, move to combat, take another draw here, drop you to 3, they concede. realizing that this isn't just 5 damage on board, it's 10. We'll go first. Based on how arena's been today, I'll only draw lands from here on out, so I'll keep. And realistically keeping, because I have a 2 to 3 2-mana spells here, plus 1 being like an actual removal spell, which is nice, and then the Unstoppable Slasher, hopefully, or a Glissa, or like Preacher. We have a lot of options if we hit that 3rd land. Like, our deck curves out very, very well. All right, this is not Rakdos, by the way, team. I think we all know that, but realistically, I'm probably safe to play this if they didn't play a turn 1 threat. They could slick shot me or something like that. Or they could surprise me and cut down my creature, which would be okay. Their auras. Maybe? The thing has Ward 2, and I'm kind of prioritizing. Let's attack here. I'm an aggressive gamer. Now, I could play Glissa, but I should have played this and just opted to hold up my go for the 3rd, I think. Let us play... Let's play Slasher. Seeing a black and a red mana open for like something like a cut down, a creature that can reoccur itself seems good. Now, this could be the 2-mana white spell that gives the thing Warden lifelink and some nonsense like that. It's kind of why I wanted to hold up to go for the throat. But I think I needed to justify my play. There's Ethereal Armor. A draw. And that's a 3/3. I don't really care about that. You should hold it defensively. It could be monster trades, things like that. I'll just take it if that's the case. Like, at the end of the day, hopefully it's just not me being dead here. That's 8. Sure. I don't know what they would have for protection here, so let's pop this. All right, nothing. Sweet. All right, my opponent instantly leaves after that. Sure. 1 creature, 1 removal. That's all it took. But as I said, very cool. We go first. This is our hand. Yeah, we keep. Play a cottage. Yeah. Oh, very secretive. Bat. I mean, realistically, we draw a swamp. We could play like Flasher into Bloodletter and win, maybe. Probably not, but like, you know, we can always try. Harvester, Bitter Triumph, Disfigure, a lot of annoying things going on. If they want to play their untapped sources, we could make it a little bit awkward. So I'm going to take the Disfigure over everything else. Take their cheap option, force them to maybe cycle this or use a Bitter Triumph and pay maybe life to use it. Also, Disfigure doesn't answer Unstoppable Slasher or Bloodletter, so if they do use something like Bitter Triumph, it stays around. Kind of depends whether they're going to have a tap source come in or not. It has to be the eyeball deck, I believe, by the way. I could play second Deep-Cavern Bat and really cause problems. I'll have to do nothing. Okay. We hit a cut down. Maybe not our best draw in the world. Combat. Attack. The cut down, I guess, answers this, so it's not the worst, right? No land to speak of, so let's just fire off another Deep-Cavern Bat. We really want them to exhaust that removal, so when we do opt to play the Unstoppable Slasher into Bloodletter, it's just good. Take a look. Here's Harvester. Sure. Yep. What's this last card? Another land. All right. We'll probably play a Surveil land, I would imagine. At least I would imagine, yeah. Surveil land. They'll make their option. Maybe play Satoru. Maybe. Maybe. Oh, there's another one on top. Okay. Here. A tap land helps make this plan pretty easy because then it forces us to play the slasher, of course. Which, like, we were probably going to do anyway because Bloodletter doesn't make sense. Playing it out of curve. Hit Flasher. And then this will get hit with a Bitter Triumph, most likely discarding this island. I would use a Fabled Passage to thin if I'm them. But obviously they can do whatever they want. It's just weird because, like, they want to get this Deep-Cavern Bat off the battlefield, but there's too many important creatures in play for them to do that. Nothing on that. Okay. It just, like, passed. Alright. What do we got? We have a silly little eyeball. Alright. That can get put out of the way. I can remove that. Leave on top. Interesting. You still have the Bitter Triumph. I'd like to remove this. Now they can activate it if they'd like. Put this in play. Maybe I should have virtued it, but they have options to kill it and kind of counter my virtue. Keep my bat back. I think I have more than enough damage with that attacking that I don't really necessarily have to worry about it. Now Bitter Triumph comes in. They take the life. Wow. Interesting. Interesting indeed. No, a little interesting if you would. We could get to the point where we just start making treasures and ignore everything and then just hard slam a virtue because I don't think they can beat that. Maybe that's my route. It's a long-term plan, but I guess with that I probably answer it. Or the eyeball's like a 5/5 or something. You have to like exile some cards or whatnot, right? Am I insane? This one. In his turn, kind of off to do this. I think this is cycle this to draw a card. So I'm chipping in with my Deep-Cavern Bat, I think. Well, I could play flyers. Fairy Mastermind comes to mind whenever I think of these decks. Even though Disfigure, I guess, is not a card they really want to buy back. So maybe attacking's correct. Because if they sack Fairy Mastermind to that, I think get rid of the slasher permanently. Semi-permanently. Obviously, we know we have Virtue kind of coming up. Maybe. Shieldred, okay. My opponent says, untap Shieldred. Go. You know, typical Shieldred fashion. Alright, nothing else going on. I'll play this. We can play this game. Fine with me. Yeah. I have 6 damage in the air. I have even more than that if I play this, which will actually be 12 damage, which is because the damage just doubled. No, I'm good. I'll go to 17, I think. And the pace with the Shieldred is so high. The Toro, sure. Move it. And then for our final trick, as long as we're not dead, we take 8, we take 2 here. So what? Do they have a blocker? Does math work out that I can just hit them with this land, they die? So it's 6, 4, whatever life they take twice that much. So 3, 7, 14. So yeah, I just hit them with the land. Because they'll lose a life for cycling this, and then they'll gain 2. So I attack. Force them to do it, I guess. If that's what they want to do. Oh, they just let it happen? Okay. Who knows? Maybe they would have found Cut Down and got the Deep-Cavern Bat off the battlefield. But with that said, we come away with the win. Interestingly enough. Opponent first. Tap land, tap land. Go for the third on 2, Virtue on 2. Sure, we'll try. Okay. Galleys. I mean, I have a lot of things for 2 mana to do, so those coming in tap, like, I'd rather just guarantee the land over anything. Who knows? Maybe I'll get fortunate enough. What do you have for me? Ace. Sure. I'll take a bit of damage here. Now, the problem is, I kind of have to play a Deep-Cavern Bat over anything else, and you might be like, well, why? But the main reason is to pick up Corpse of the Lost. Corpse of the Lost is such a strong card. They have a Gix, too. Like, Gix would have been devastating in general as well. So we'll take that. Because, like, even if I do remove a thing, they still get a draw and all that nonsense. So, we take one thing away. We'll probably play Cottage. I could play the Fungus. If I draw an untapped source, I'll probably play Fungus. And use it as a block and sack value kind of card. No blocks here. We're taking 3 a turn pretty much for right now. I won't go for the throat for Shieldred, obviously. Kind of where we're at. There's Tiny Bones. A little frustrating creature in general. A second Deep-Cavern Bat can help kind of wane off a lot of what's going on. They either have spell or land, which then we take away Shieldred. But, like, is not playing Mosswood just fine. I have a lot of good creatures against this match. I just haven't found any, which is a little tough. I guess, honestly, I should just play Deep-Cavern Bat and use it as, like, a keep-up card. Second, Tiny Bones. Alright, well, we take Shieldred. Of course, we attack here. Basically, now we're taking 4 a turn, but realistically, we can eventually get out of that situation. We have a little life to gain here, which will take back a turn and away. The main issue being Tiny Bones. Because Tiny Bones can target if we ever have a card in the yard that's a permanent. We do find another land, which is huge. I will play a Fungus here. And do I minus? No, I think I stick with what my plan was. Then I look to remove a lot of things next turn. They have a deck card in hand. They haven't hit the 4th land. They haven't hit a corpse. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. The Tiny Bones attacks. Is it weird that I gotta block Tiny Bones, I guess? Oh, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, they could cast this if they want. Would I want that? Not really. But I can't really stop it next turn because, like, well, no, it's in my sights of stuff to remove, I guess. I mean, I guess if they take the turn off to do that, then so be it. Yeah, we do this so we can kind of hit our mana. And if, like I said, Tiny Bones will hit, but kind of countering 2 mana, our 2 damage here is nice over the 1. Could have blew this up, but I don't think that's important enough. We're getting pretty close to having Virtue come in, which will be pretty tough for them to beat in general. Are you casting that? Nice. They could definitely do the draw part. Kind of fits the same description. They can't target necessarily with it. Tiny Bones has to be removed. Cut down going to be a fantastic play here. I mean, our entire hand is just removal. Let's pop this. Down out of the way. And then I'll opt to play a Dreadknight here, and then hold up my removal. Probably pop the Tiny Bones so they can't commit a crime, even though I don't have anything technically in the yard. But they can sacrifice this, putting something in my yard. Although, I guess with Mosswood, I do have an option to block the Tiny Bones with it. And then have Mosswood die so I could cycle it for a draw and then cut down their second tiny bones. That's also an option. It's been a really weird game so far. That also then saves my spells, I guess. The only real fear I have is like just ever falling out of touch. Okay, well. Update. It all turned out to be pretty good for them. We know what we have to remove this turn. End up finding a cut down, which is just really, really good. Yep. Nothing to cast off Tiny Bones. We'll pop that. No reason to have that stick around. No out attack means I'll probably block the fungus. Let Tiny Bones kind of run a little bit rampant here, maybe. Just attack for a 2. Makes sense. Attack for that also makes sense. I could just block it just off the battlefield. You just do my cycle plan I talked about. Main issue now is they have my fungus, so even if I do draw the land, the virtue gets a little weird. Let's do this one. Play this one. Now know why we're playing this one. Yep, so Tiny Bones is going to have to get hit here. Can't allow them to play a Deep-Cavern Bat. The 4th land. Who knows? Maybe they'll play something gross. See. You will see. Pop my finger just now. Can't attack with the fungus. Doesn't make any sense. Can't block this regardless. Tiny Bones is frustrating, but not the end of the world. Oh. Raided the Slasher, huh? Hash slinging, the hash ringing, the has hash bringing. Take 2. I'll hold this cut down. Now I think an option to pop this boy. And sack in response, draw a card, maybe put another land into play, or just let it go. But I would have to assume their hand had removal, but I don't know why they wouldn't go for the removal and the stopper anyway, and then try to interact. Thing, no land. Kind of works for us. Alright. Well, we can go for the win. There's a pause there, so they have something. That one? Here's a pause. There's something in play. Bloodletter. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe we won't. Most likely we will not. They have 3 cards in hand. And any type of removal gets Slasher down. But they could remove the Bloodletter, obviously. We'll attack. Do actually die, potentially. I can't come back. They can play Tiny Bones and a Corpse of the Lost, and we'll actually lose the game. No, we go 1 because Deep-Cavern Bat. We were at 9. I was saying no, because Tiny Bones I guess would only be 2. They would have to play. They have to play another one of these. There's other Tiny Bones down. Sure, that's fine by me. Not like really, but like kind of has to be fine, right? Hey, Glissa, nice of you to show up. I'm in it to win it, you know. Big attacks. I missed lethal just now. Well, that's implying they had nothing. I could have brought up the cottage and attacked. If they had removal, then I get super blown out. Another Tiny Bones, sure, but Glissa gets around that. That's 6, 7, 8. That could have a land, could not, and then we find lethal. Regardless, we have lethal on board, and they realized that. I thought they were gonna hold back, but they went an all-out attack for some reason. With that said, we hit plat 3. Very cool. Would have been done with this video a lot sooner if I would have hit record on my 3 matches earlier, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. It's okay. All right, so here we are. This is what we end up playing. We played Golari, which is really mono black splashing green for some stuff. I think I went a little overboard with the green mana here. I think we had way too many tap lands on a lot of the curve of the game. So it is definitely something I would consider looking into if you're looking to maybe put a list like this together. However, mono black might just be better in general when it comes to doing this combo. I played quite a bit of games, especially unrecorded games apparently. And this combo worked like never, and the reason why is because I just like never found it together, right? I don't really have a way to tutor anything out. I kind of just played it more naturally, and I think Bloodletter is good, but a 4 of sometimes is a little whacked. Maybe we want to be looking at like 3 and maybe going up on something like this, or just playing a little bit more like Landfind. I guess Analyze the Pollen would be a good card to put in here. I really just opted to try to play as many new cards as I thought were cool. And I think Fungus is a sweet card, just being a little overlooked right now. Really nice 1-drop that we can play a lot of times. And if our opponent isn't like very interactive or they're a slower deck, something like that. Like Skeletons, I think, is a good example there, where we can use this card and ramp or blow up artifacts or enchantments if need be. And just being overall removal, which helps kind of trim out Terra Sunder in general. It's 3 mana to do it from hand. If we have to play it, then sacrifice it. But we can use it as ramp, and sometimes we need that, especially with as many tap lands as I was playing. So it's a little bit weird. Maybe playing more of like Blossoming Tortoises and stuff like that in this deck might be actually better. Play a little bit more green black heavy in that regard. But outside of that, I mean, it ran pretty well. I lost some like weird games. I played 25 lands. I think I had 2 games where I kept my opener. It was a 4-lander, 3 cards. I drew a cut down and then drew 5 lands, and I lost that match, which felt pretty winnable. And outside of that, it was kind of the similar scenarios. Other than that as well, in this deck, I almost think with the meta, I would probably prioritize playing more Glissas over these Preachers. I wanted to play Preacher because I've loved Preacher so much in the past. But Preacher was always really good against Boros Convoke as kind of a creature maker, and you were able to spread out the board. But right now, with Mono Red, it doesn't necessarily feel better than Glissa, because Glissa has that first strike Death Touch attached to her that's so good. And it's just like a little bit weird to kind of prioritize playing a Preacher over Glissa. But Glissa at the same time doesn't necessarily get any value if it's getting chump blocked the entire game. So it's a little weird when it comes to that overall. So I definitely liked it. Liliana still felt great as kind of a connecting piece whenever we remove something on 2 and then play Liliana following that. And we can kind of pop our creatures out of the way. But with that said, this was kind of the first iteration of it. I don't know if I'll be back on Bloodletter and Slasher. Not entirely sure. But with that said, we all enjoyed the video anyway. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and goodbye.